let them tell you what to do. But weak managers don't get this. Just because someone holds a management title does not make them a skilled or a great manager. A good percentage of managers ascended into their positions because of who they know and not what they know. And their incompetence seeps out in different ways. So I'm going to tell you 5 ways to spot a weak, incompetent manager. The first sign is poor communication. These type of managers struggle with getting their point across without being rude and condescending. When they communicate, it's unclear and it's delayed. They know what they want to say, but the message is not coming through clearly to the receiver. And when employees circle back to ask for clarification on what they were trying to say, they become frustrated. And their frustration is misguided and is toward the employee instead of themselves and their lack of communication skills. The second sign is micromanagement. Weak leaders micromanage because they're not confident in themselves. And these type of managers always feel that they know the job better, even though they're not on the front line doing this job. Don't get me wrong. Maybe they have done this job once upon a time and they've done it correctly. However, jobs and duties and responsibilities evolve. They don't stay the same year after year after year. The third sign is they undermine the development of their subordinates. These type of managers make it difficult for employees to upskill and to take on new stretch projects. Typically, this is what's needed to be promoted, so they sabotage. Why? Because when weak managers have a good employee in position, they try to keep them there so they don't have to train someone new and so that employee can continue to make them look good.
Okay, I agree with some of that. Yeah, I agree with some of that. I do think that oftentimes people are promoted because it's about who you know instead of what you know. There's a fallacy that is all about hard work, and the reality is that is the furthest from the truth. Networking, relationship building is absolutely essential to your success in corporate America. Absolutely essential. Some would argue that it is equal to the amount of work you produce. Networking and relationship building is absolutely imperative. And if you think that you're going to be a success in corporate America without it, you're fooling yourself. So yeah. I mean, there are people every day that's getting in leadership roles, and it was about who they knew instead of what they knew. I would say the other part is, when you start thinking about some of the points that she was raising. One was, communication, lack of communication. One was, I think, it was the person not knowing as much as you because you're on the front line. I mean, I get it. I get it. Communications is important. And, just because you're in a leadership role doesn't mean that you know more about the day-to-day ins and outs of that role. But I will say that because they're in a leadership role, their exposure to the bigger picture is oftentimes where they will edge you out. So yeah, you may know how to count a register, right? You may know how to stock a shelf, but the leader may know more about what's going on in the overall store, right? They may understand that there are aspects of this role that you're not familiar with. And because they have the preview of knowing a little bit more, having a little bit different exposure, seeing it from a different vantage point, then they can see it from that perspective. And you can't, because you see it just from your view, your elevation point. So I would always keep that in mind, that just because they don't do it all day, every day, doesn't mean that their perspective on that role isn't valid and that you know more than them. All right. And just because they don't always push you for other opportunities doesn't mean that they're looking to sabotage you or sabotage your career. I'll say this: if you don't do a good job of building relationships, establishing your network, right? Supporting your leader, your manager, then that person is not going to speak on your behalf. And that doesn't mean that they're trying to sabotage you. That means that you haven't done a good job of building the relationships that's necessary to continue to grow within that organization. Cool?
4, they give no feedback or weak feedback, which is the sister of number 3. Why do they do this? Well, there's a couple reasons. They are inept. They don't know how to do your job better than you do. So what feedback can they really give you that is sound and objective? Another reason is why they give no feedback or very poor, ambiguous, vague feedback is to sabotage. Because if they don't tell you what's wrong and where you're going wrong, then how can you correct it? How can you be better? How can you grow? You can't. And 5, they dismiss new ideas from their subordinates and anyone else. These weak managers are, we always did it this way type of managers. They stifle creativity. There is no room for improvement with them because they don't want to hear about it. This type of weak management promotes mediocrity and molds weak teams. They will have the team working 2 weeks behind the rest of the world. An honorable mention, they don't have a clear vision. They're less likely to plan and they don't have goals. And if they have goals, 9 times out of 10, they don't understand them.
Okay, I don't agree. I mean, disagree with most of what she's saying. I think a true leader should have a vision. I think a true leader should be able to coach. I think a true leader should be able to communicate. I think a true leader, we want to see our teammates get better, even though it does cost us and it throws us back when you leave. We want to see you promoted. We want to see you grow. Ultimately, that makes us look good. Now, I won't be foolish and think that all managers and all people in authority are leaders. They're not. A leader is something completely different than a manager. And do you have incompetent managers out here? Sure. You even have some incompetent leaders, but oftentimes you look at a leader from a different lens. So I'll ask this question. It's a question that I ask all the time. So now you have this incompetent leader, this incompetent manager, a person that doesn't communicate well, a person that doesn't have vision, a person that doesn't coach you well, right? All the different points that she raised. So you have that person. You are the unfortunate employee, teammate that has this incompetent manager. The question is, what are you going to do about it? How do you press through? So I think sometimes we spend way too much energy thinking about and lamenting on the fact that our manager is incompetent instead of figuring out how to build a better relationship with that manager so that we can move forward. Because that manager needs you. That manager needs you to do well. That manager needs you to perform well. Because when you perform well, it makes the manager look good. I think if I was to give you some advice, I would say don't spend so much time thinking about your manager's incompetence, right? Figure out a way to build a bridge. Figure out a way to build that relationship with the manager. The quicker you do that, the better your life is going to be. I promise you. I know, in this world we think about, hey, I'm not going to be a pick me and all that stuff. Well, this is a game that you're playing and you got to learn how to play it smartly. So the answer is that even though you have an incompetent manager, it's your responsibility. It is your ultimate responsibility to figure out how to build this relationship with this manager, how to build this bridge with your manager, how to become an asset with this manager so that you can grow and you can accomplish the things that you want to accomplish in corporate, at your job, or what have you. It's your job. Figure that out. Don't spend so much time thinking about that person's incompetence. Figure out how you can build a bridge. I know it's tough, but that's a thing that we don't like to talk about these days. But if you do that, you'll make it around the corner. All right. Love to hear your thoughts. Thanks a bunch. Have a good one.